The Little Mermaid is directed by Rob Marshall and stars Halle Bailey as Ariel. The film basically follows the same template as the original film, where Ariel wants to be a part of the human world, but Ursula has other plans for her. And if you've seen the original, you already know what this movie's about. I reviewed the first movie a few months ago, and I thought it was pretty good. I think it is one of the best Disney animated films to have come out at that time, especially during the Disney Renaissance. And it started a streak of hits that Disney had in the 90s, where they're just cranking out classic after classic after classic. One of my favorites being The Lion King. And so this is a very important film, especially one to try and remake all these years later, especially in the climate where Disney is in, where they are creatively bankrupt and can only rely on old IPs to carry its business. So what do I think of this film? What are my opinions on it? Do I think it's a great movie? Do I think it's good, bad, terrible, mediocre? What do I think? Well, I'll start off with my positives first. For one, Melissa McCarthy is fine as Ursula. A definite downgrade. She's not as edgy or as villainous as the original, but still she is Ursula, and Melissa McCarthy gave a pretty good impression of the character, vocal impression I would say. Halle Bailey is really good in the singing bits. There are times where she does try to do some creative stuff with her singing to try and change the songs up a bit, but that doesn't always work for me. But for the most part, her singing is overall pretty good, I would say. And there is a couple of scenes in the middle of the film where Eric and Ariel are having heart-to-hearts, sharing each other's passion, and it was pretty sweet and wholesome, and some of the best moments in the film. No, I believe that's it. That's all the positive I have. And I think the Little Mermaid remake is absolutely terrible. Just as bad as some of the other remakes like The Lion King or Aladdin. Not as offensively bad as Peter Pan and Wendy or Pinocchio or Mulan. Damn, those movies were god-awful. But this is definitely one of the more boring ones to sit through for me, and really lifeless in terms of its cinematography, and the pacing really drags. This movie is 2 hours and 14 minutes long, and you feel that, and the movie doesn't even change all that much, in fact at all plot-wise from the original. And I watched the original a few months ago when the remake came out, and it's still fresh in my mind enough to know that this remake just made some just padded out the runtime is all it did. All that it managed to do differently was either add new scenes that don't serve much of a purpose to the overall plot, or tell us something that we already know, or drag out moments in song numbers to an absurd degree to where you feel like the movie is rushing through everything but also taking too much time establishing everything all at the same time. The pacing of this movie is absolutely terrible, and because the writing is so unoriginal, I was almost checking out at many moments of the film. Some of the only things that are done differently are a few extra song and notes here and there, especially one from Prince Eric, which was forgettable at best in my opinion. But all in all, this is the exact same plot as the original, the same character decisions, and same moments happen throughout, except with wooden dialogue that are acted out so boringly to where you could tell that many of the actors here are not passionate about what they're doing. Javier Bardem as King Triton is really boring in this role, and I really didn't care for him one bit. And a lot of the most important moments of the film especially moments from the original, I feel nothing now. Like the scene where it tries and destroys all of Ariel's treasures. There's absolutely nothing here that I felt emotionally about. And another negative I have about this movie in particular is that they downgraded the romance aspect of the film to an absurd degree to where I don't know if you could call this a romance. And whenever they try to establish the romance back into the movie, it feels so forced, and I didn't care one bit if Ariel and Eric got together by the end. It just made the whole ending of the film very much emotionless. I didn't care for any of the characters or what they're going through one bit. The visual effects are also pretty god-awful. The underwater sequences I felt were really poorly implemented in the movie. It doesn't feel like real environments like the movie's trying to push for. The animal designs are realistic, but definitely the movements and the way the visuals are presented are very cartoonish, and it doesn't really gel all that well, especially with the fact that actors are interacting with these environments in a way that feels pretty unnatural. This is a $250 million budget, and for some reason, movies like Oppenheimer, Barbie, and John Wick Chapter 4, which cost around $100 million, feel more realistic than this movie ever could. All in all, I hated this movie just as much as some of the other recent Disney live-action films. It's definitely not the worst. I've seen worse. And this, you could say, is a step in the right direction. But in general, this is still the exact same type of film that Disney is pushing out time and time again. Worse versions of their old classic animated films that don't understand what made those movies work in the first place. It doesn't anger me as much as The Lion King. I am more personally attached to The Lion King than The Little Mermaid, so that's why I'm a bit more angry at that. But if you are a fan of The Little Mermaid film, the original in fact, I can see you get extremely mad with this film, and understandably so. The visuals are terrible, the acting for the most part are pretty bad, the characters mostly feel pointless, especially some of the side characters, and the songs are worse versions of what they were before, and some of the new ones like Scuttlebutt are extremely god-awful. I'm going to give The Little Mermaid 2023 a D. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys next time.